Steve, we'll start with the next question, and surprise, surprise, a two-part question. This one is a small book, so it's going to take a minute.
That's right up my line.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The Supreme Court of the United States has ruled that the right vests in individuals, not merely collective militias, which also ruling that the right is not unlimited and does not prohibit all regulation of either firearms or similar devices. Many attempt to infringe on the Second Amendment have been attempted and are still being threatened today by the federal government. If by some strange chance of liberal lunacy their demanding succeeds, what side will you choose? The U.S. Constitution and a right to defend ourselves, or an unjust federal law? Second part of the question, after Hurricane Katrina, police went house to house disarming the citizens. This is a major concern for many citizens, removing the right to defend themselves at the time when they may need it most. In the event of a natural or man-made disaster, would the people of LaPorte County have to be concerned that they will be disarmed as the people of New Orleans were?
I'm going to say something here that may not be very fair to these two gentlemen. So as I start, you might have a tendency to nod your head. Don't do that. I'm just going to be fair here because it won't work out for you. I think these guys are good soldiers, and I really worry about that in incidents just like the question that's been asked. You know, are they going to be, like I heard in the movie once, a doggy on the dashboard? Yes, Department of Homeland Security. Yes, FBI. We're going to go out and we're going to get the guns. They're good soldiers. I don't know. Now, I will not have my department doing that. Now, there may be some repercussions from that. You're going to have to decide, do you want those repercussions, or do you want a police department that's going to stand up for you and stand by that Constitution and let you keep your weapons? So that's something that each of you will have to decide, and you're going to have to decide how much of the Constitution you're willing to support. And by the way, I think that we all have an oath to support the Constitution. I had a chance to talk to a D.C. Circuit judge once after hearing him speak. This is, about one step below the Supreme Court. And I asked him, Bush was doing signing statements at the time, and I said, since a new citizen has to raise his hand and swear to uphold the Constitution, that inures to me as being born here. That's automatically my oath, is it not? Can't I then go and defend the Constitution and file a lawsuit against such things? And he real quick said no, because judges, make a quick decision like that. But then he just stared at me. He said, but that's interesting. So I think we all have an oath to defend the Constitution. Now, I've written a number of articles. If you go to my webpage, you'll see links to them. One of them I state, it's hard to defend the Constitution when there's a howitzer pointed at your house and they're asking for your guns. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know what I'm going to do as sheriff. I'm not coming to your house to get it, if that's the case. I can't speak to these guys. I hope they will say the same thing, but I also know they're good soldiers, so I don't know. I don't know where we're going to be at that. I'm sorry, the second part was?
Second part is, in the event of a natural or man-made disaster, would the people of LaPorte County have to be concerned if they will be disarmed as the people of New Orleans were?
All right, I'm going to tell you quickly an experience I had some years ago, not with this prosecutor's office, the outgoing one, but the one that was before that. In a libertarian meeting, I mentioned to him that there were some internet rumors that some people in northern Indiana have been told by the federal government that we needed to be ready for an influx of people from Chicago, and I asked him, what are we going to do if that happens? And he said, we're on our own. So, Second Amendment.
I'm going to shorten this, Al, but I'll read it again. Many attempts to infringe on the Second Amendment have been attempted and are still being threatened today by the federal government. If by some chance the change that they are demanding succeeds, what side will you choose? The U.S. Constitution and a right to defend ourselves, or an unjust federal law? The second part, in the event of a natural or man-made disaster, would the people of LaPorte County have to be concerned if they will be disarmed as the people of New Orleans were?
Well, I am a proud U.S. citizen. I'm a proud state of Indiana citizen. I took an oath 18 years ago to obey or to enforce laws. As sheriff, I will continue that. And I will obviously want my men and women working each day to continue that as well. I firmly believe anybody that goes into an office, sheriff, a county councilman, state legislators, they go into office to do the right thing. I don't know if that is really truly the case, but in my mind, that's what I believe they do. So, with that being said, if they so choose downstate in the state of Indiana to put that into a law, I will have to obey that, and I will have to enforce those laws. Now, in my 11 years in the Detective Bureau, I can tell you that there has been times when I have not agreed with the law. There were times, I mean, there's several policemen in here, retirees. I think they all probably would agree with me at certain times in their careers that we may not have agreed with the law. But it comes down to integrity. We take an oath. So when we take that oath, I feel that we need to enforce the laws. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
John, I'll give you the shortened version also. Many attempts to infringe on the Second Amendment have been attempted and are still being threatened today by the federal government. If by some strange chance the changes they are demanding succeed, what side will you choose? The U.S. Constitution or our right to defend ourselves or an unjust federal law? The second part, in the event of a natural or man-made disaster, would the people of LaPorte County have to be concerned that they will be disarmed as the people of New Orleans were?
I took an oath when I became a police officer. I raised my right hand, and my oath was to defend the Constitution of the United States and defend the Constitution of the state of Indiana. And that's what I've done, and that's what I will continue to do. Part of my responsibility at the sheriff's office, 5 days a week, sometimes 6 if I work a little on the weekends, is to do our handgun permitting. I'm a very pro Second Amendment individual, and this is where it really is important. It comes into play, and I've got to make some decisions as to whether or not we grant a handgun permit to somebody. In the state of Indiana, there are rules and regulations concerning whether we permit someone for a handgun. Somebody's been convicted of a felony, they're a violent felon, we deny them, whether they apply or not. It's not their right any longer. They forfeited their right when they were convicted of a felony. Likewise, if somebody has been diagnosed by a mental health professional that they're unfit to be allowed to carry a handgun, we do not permit them. And that's a decision that I have to make, armed with information that's been presented to me. And that's not a job that I take lightly. That's a tough decision, because I always have to face the person who I just denied their handgun permit, and I have to explain to them why. But sometimes we have greater responsibility to the mass than we do the one individual who's applying. It's a tough decision that we have to make, yet that's a decision that I'm entrusted to make. I took an oath to defend and uphold the Constitution of the state of Indiana and the United States of America, not to support the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, or the FBI, or the Bureau of Land Management, or the IRS, some of the other organizations that, in my opinion, are out of control. Groups like the FBI and the ATF can be wonderful resources when we call upon them, and we need them. And they've been great partners for us here in LaPorte County. They've been able to give us technology and manpower and technology when we haven't been able to afford that on our own. We lack the expertise or the resources for that. I don't think that we have anything to worry about if we have another incident like we had in New Orleans. I don't think you're going to find us going door to door removing guns. And as sheriff, I certainly wouldn't be a party to that. I know as major at the sheriff's office, I wouldn't be a party to that. We have a lot more important issues to do than going door to door removing guns. I think that's kind of a scare tactic, and I think that just riles people up, and that's why there's some mistrust going on, because there's misinformation about what's going on in our country today. But again, I swear to uphold the Constitution, not the special interest groups or not certain elements within the federal government.
You have another 60 seconds.
I just want to reiterate that the Constitution of the United States is the ultimate law of the land. It's not anything else. It's the ultimate law of the land is the Constitution. And I read a story some few years ago that the federal government, some agencies of the federal government, were trying to get some of the larger congregations, preachers, to understand that when martial law came, not if, but when martial law came, it would be up to them to help get the guns from the citizens. And that they should follow Romans 13 that says that you need to be honorable to the powers that be. The law of the land is the Constitution of the United States, not whoever it is that's knocking at our doors demanding that we do this. So yes, some of what these gentlemen have said are true. There are laws, but there is the ultimate law of the Constitution of the United States and our inalienable rights as well. We forget those.
Al, would you like to go 60 seconds?
Just real quick, in regards to the Second Amendment, you know, we can get real long-worded with everything that we're going to talk about here. I am an NRA life member. I believe in the right to bear arms. Again, it goes back to the pride of being just a citizen in this great country. So I am an NRA life member. But with that being said, again, I talked about coming from a law enforcement family. Weapons have always been, in my mind, used for personal protection and nothing more, really. Hunting for recreational. Other than that, the lack of training when possessing a firearm is the real concern that I have, and people that are going to possess them. I don't know if we can control that, but it seems like something that we need to look at and look into.
John?
Al hit on an interesting point, and I do believe in the right to bear arms, because I have been witness in the last 16 months here in LaPorte County to 2 incidents where homeowners were able to successfully thwart a home invasion because they were armed. In one case, it ended up where the suspect was dead. It was because he broke into someone's home, he was armed with a deadly weapon, and the homeowner was able to stand his ground, and he was able to preserve his own life in that situation. So that's why I feel that it's so very important. I see what the St. Joseph County Sheriff's Department has done recently, our neighbors to the east, where they're providing training for people that are first-time firearms owners, in particular handgun owners. I think that that's something we should do. We have one of the nicest ranges in all of the Midwest. We have some of the best firearms instructors in all of the state of Indiana and the Midwest, and I think we could utilize them to help put on citizens academies where they could come in and familiarize themselves with weapons that they can ultimately use to preserve their life, and that they need to know how to function them when they're in their home.